in the darkness, dying as I'm jumping off the wrong cliff. Feeling lost, but I must pretend I got this. Travel in the speed of light, stuck in madness.
Welcome back to another episode of The Mood is Music. Today is Thursday, July 2nd, 2000 and void. I'm sitting here with my friend. 2020 does not exist in my book. My name is Jesus, and we are back after a while
it's been a while.
Record yet another episode.
Yeah, it's been a while. I feel like it's been like I feel like you know what though. Like I looked back on, like how many podcasts we've been doing per month and stuff like that up until pandemic.
Yeah,
and it wasn't like. It was like we usually do 2 per month. That's like as much as we've been doing. And then we did one in April and May, right?
Yes.
But we didn't do one in June because June, like, I feel like all hell broke loose for everyone, like personally and socially and government and all kinds of stuff. And so it's July 2nd. So we were like, we got to reconfigure what we do because the whole point of this podcast, we literally sat down and I think it was in your studio or something. We were thinking about doing a podcast and we were like, we want to go out to more live music shows. we want to go see more music in Seattle.
Oh my God.
Together and talk about it and record it mainly because we wanted to see more live music.
Yeah.
Together. And like expose ourselves to different stuff and kind of I had just moved back to Seattle and from LA and I was like, well, I got to get back into the scene and I haven't been out here in a while, as a concert goer or whatever. And then this happened. Yeah. And literally the entire premise of our podcast has to change. I mean, we were slowly changing it over time, basically, right? But it's like now we have to really change. And I think like we had some really successful podcast episodes. You've done like some pretty awesome features on like Cancerbero, which is like has thousands and thousands of listens at this point. Yeah. And then the other one that you did, and I can't think of the name.
Chalino.
What is it? Yeah.
Chalino Sanchez.
Chalino Sanchez, right?
Yeah.
That one's also doing really good. And so I feel like that's probably something we're going to have to do more of in the future. I'm going to actually have to do one. I know we have a bunch of artists picked out to do. The difference, though, is that, like, when we talked about this already, is like, those are a lot more time consuming than just like hanging out with each other on Skype or whatever and talking about, our experiences in the music business.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's, for instance, with Cancerbero, because I never knew him before that, it was a little more difficult kind of digging into what was his life story, versus Chalino Sanchez. I'm a little more familiar with him. So it was a little more challenging putting Cancerbero together, information-wise, and then how do I present it, I remember I had so much information that I'm like, I'm all over the place and I need to cut it down, because it can get overwhelming. I mean, there's such great artists and so much information out there. I think the challenge is how do we present information that is entertaining, And
right. And on top of that, neither one of us we're not really journalists. Like, I mean, I'm a composer and I do sound design and stuff. And Jesus is a rapper, musician, and a massage therapist. So it's like none of those are like journalist backgrounds. I mean, we both dabbled quite profoundly in like film writing and, developed some TV shows and stuff like that in the past. But none of that is actually writing for this stuff. And you kind of actually have to write out the episodes and stuff. So it's like, it's a pretty high learning curve. So, but, funnily enough, like, we're literally trying to set up for this podcast today, and I'm like, I hear this weird sound. I swear everything is against this podcast for this last 2 months because as I'm setting up, I'm like, oh crap, my two preamps I thought went out. It didn't go out. It turns out like one of my main microphones died right before I'm about to record. So now I'm here recording on this on the 58 because all my other microphones are either not here or not working. It's like now I got to invest in some new mics and get my tube mic fixed.
I mean, that's what makes it gratifying, though. Is nature wants to battle against us because we got something, especially once we start getting into what does the future of live music look like,
Yeah,
and
right.
Are we the future actual journalists of the new norm,
Right.
So
Yeah, yeah, no, you're right. I mean, I've been talking about, so like my wife has been stepping up a lot lately with my business, like the business side of music for me, and like doing a lot of management and handling a lot of different things that she kind of like half handled in the past, but like she was a massage therapist as well, so she's been out of business now for the
yeah,
last couple months. And so she was like, "You know what? Like you've never had a manager. I have an agent, and my agent's great. She does a lot of good stuff for me. Like she sold some music of me and Jesus's this morning.
yeah,
But she doesn't do management stuff, and I've always like kind of needed a manager because I'm always like half on social media, half off, and not really peddling my music like I could. Anyways, so my wife stepped up
right,
in all of this. So even her, like she's changing, like professions now. All of a sudden, she's an artist manager. I mean, she's always kind of helped me with this stuff, but not to the extent that she is now. And she's been
yeah,
kind of stepping up. So it's crazy. Like we were talking about, I was like, we were talking about doing the podcast today, and she's like, "What are you guys gonna? What's the new content gonna be? Because when are we gonna be seeing live shows at all right now?" And so
yeah.
we've been watching like a lot of live streams. We spent a lot of time on Twitch over the last couple of weeks, just like watching musicians and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, which we'll talk about a little bit, and then I also have been researching a lot of like the new drive-in concerts. Like there's a couple pretty big ones down in Atlanta over was it like the last couple weeks. There was one or two in I think it was one in LA, maybe I want to say.
Wow.
I haven't seen, there was supposed to be one up here in Washington, but I haven't seen it advertised really anywhere. But there's been a
Yeah.
bunch in the South, which now it's like COVID surging in the South, and it's like, guys, I know,
It's
like
tough.
in Washington. The thing is, it's weird. The weird thing about it is that we've been doing this literally since like April. We've been like quarantining in Washington since April. Like
Yeah.
we were the vanguard. Like this hit us and in California before it hit anybody else. And I remember like having conversations with my wife's friend in New Jersey I think it was in the end of April, early May, talking about how we were in quarantine, and her in New Jersey being like, "Oh, we're not in quarantine. Like nothing's even happening here. Like we don't even have the sickness here." I'm like, "Oh, really?" I was like,
Wow.
"Yeah." I remember hearing them talking and being like, "Yeah, but it's gonna hit New Jersey. Like it's gonna hit
Yeah.
New Jersey hard, and it's gonna shut everything down." And she's like, "No, I mean, I don't think," because she's like a farmer, Martinet Farms in New Jersey, and she, I guess, thought that it wasn't gonna hit the East Coast when we were. This was in like May.
Yeah.
Now they just got hammered. You know what I mean? And like literally like a week or so after we had that conversation, like
Yeah.
the whole thing blew up in New York, and
Wow.
so we were just talking about it and looking at it, and I'm like, yeah, we should just see what happens. And yeah, Katie, my wife, was like, maybe you guys, there's this whole new thing with like virtual streaming or virtual concerts and live streaming and home concerts but she was saying, she's like, I feel like that's just getting started. Like people are just becoming creative and all of that. And
Yeah.
like it hasn't really hit its stride yet. And I think eventually it'll become like a mainstay of things. it's not gonna go away when we get live music back, I don't think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think that it has to be innovative, because as much as people want to support that, I feel like, do we have the attention span for it, you know? And I think one of the things that I'm thinking is, well, how then do we make it worth it for the artist? You know, and one of the things that I'm asking is, do we start then using platforms like OnlyFans, you know, like OnlyBands or something? I don't know. I don't know what it would be called, but and then you just pay to see a performance, you know, that evening or something.
Or like, you like become a subscriber and you get like, but that's the thing, right? With like OnlyFans though, you know, I know there's a couple DJs, not DJs, producers. I can't remember one guy who started doing, he has an OnlyFans where he just like, he produces music, screenshot camera, screen grab of his screen and a camera, and he just does it live on OnlyFans. And he's like a big producer. I can't remember his name right now, but no, look it up. Go on OnlyFans if you know if boobs.
Oh, I've been there.
I actually haven't. Anytime I click, when I clicked on the guy, the DJ, and I can't remember the name of the DJ or the producer right now, but when I clicked on his link on OnlyFans, I realized, I was like, oh, I have to pay to get access to this content.
Yeah.
Because it was just like blank, you know, it's just like, join OnlyFans. It's $12.99 a month for this guy's content.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's another option, but it's like, that's like a small slice of people. Those people are not really like consuming live music. You know, they're just looking to like, the people who are subscribing to his OnlyFans are looking for help producing their own tracks, right? Like that's, or they're like rappers looking to like make a connection with him to get up. The other thing I was curious about, or I'm curious to see how it plays out, is like, all these live music venues, like they could be doing live streams. Like they could invest like Patreon or something like that and invest. Like, so for me, it makes more sense for like a venue that's already got a stage and a setup to invest in like, you know, a couple cameras. It's super cheap. Like you can get amazing cameras. You could do a virtual, there's even like, you know, some really good cameras out there that can do, you know, really good VR experiences for cheap, for like $300-$400, which is cheap for what you're getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And just start a Patreon channel or something like that for the venue. And then that venue, it's easier for that venue to be like, hey, I'm going to get bands in here every week, once a week or twice a week. And then it makes sense to pay the subscription for that. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's like that, then that venue immediately gets like an international exposure or market. You know what I mean? And then it'd probably be easier for that venue to then switch over to like
more of a digital.
Yeah. Or, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like for an artist though, like I feel like Patreon makes sense for artists because we can produce like any kind of video as part of our content. Like we can do like, hey, this is how we made this song. We can do covers. We can do, but like as an artist to produce original songs like once a week, every week for, you know, however many months is like, and live a life. Like, especially if you have like any kind of business, like for me, it's just not possible. Like I'm creating music for other people a lot of times and they're paying me for my time and all this other stuff. And like, so it'd be hard to then switch over as an artist to just doing that. So I don't know. Like, and that's why I'm saying like OnlyFans seems hard for like an artist to do. That's why my experience looking at Twitch was like, I mean, like a lot of people are just doing covers. Like they're just doing covers of music. You know, that's all they're doing is just covers, which is cool. People are doing it and making a living on Twitch, presumably, but I don't know, like that just didn't. I could only watch it for like 10 minutes, and then I was like, all right, like cool.
Well, also, can you watch your favorite band and do that for 30 minutes? You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think some people can. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like just the experience of watching the band, make music together.
So I think, I mean, from the venue's point of view, I think having the ability to bring the show via the internet to fans of those bands while still being open, right, for the actual live stuff, bands that are actually willing to go and perform for a small portion of a live audience and then live onto the internet. And then, so my next question is, so us as fans of live music, how soon before we're comfortable, like going there live, is my question.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Vanilla Ice has a big concert in Texas this week. Was it this weekend or next weekend or something? Vanilla Ice.
What?
First of all, if you're willing to risk your life, I mean, I know this has been said a billion times on Twitter, but like if you're willing to risk your life for Vanilla Ice, you are a fool. Look, no disrespect to Vanilla Ice as an artist, because like part of the podcast, one of the tenets of our podcast is like all music is legitimate. Whether you like it or not is your own personal preference. It's subjective. It's not objective, But dude, I don't know if anybody on the planet could look themselves in the face and be like, look, I'm willing to risk my life and the lives of my loved ones to see this fucking Vanilla Ice concert. Like, just say that to yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and then fucking think about not going to the fucking goddamn Vanilla Ice concert. It's not a political statement, you dumb fucker.
There's somebody out there going like, this is the last chance I have to see Vanilla Ice.
But why?
Wow.
Look, it's cool that you like Vanilla Ice. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, is he worth your life? Or like your grandma or grandpa's life, for that matter? Like maybe you just get sick a little bit, but like,
yeah,
what the fuck? I don't get it, man.
So I've been working with this Insta model, and because remember I was telling you advertising for my business, I spent on Google ads and things like that. And then I've been exploring with just kind of trading with people that have an outreach to a community or whatever.
Yeah, they have like a good following and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been working out, and all of that. And so the other day I was like, I would like to also use you to make some sort of an ad video about massage. And I would like the opportunity to do that. I have a videographer. Right. I have the whole thing ready to go. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'm actually doing a music video this week. And I was like, you're doing a what? And so on her Instagram, there's like video of her and she's like, showing her butt, just being all cute and stuff, right? And then she texts me and she's like, so I'm kind of running a fever right now and I'm hurting all over. I may have to cancel our appointment. I was like, we're definitely canceling our appointment.
May have to.
Already, when I saw her videos, I'm like, well, I'm covering everything when she comes in, because what the fuck is she doing? You can't be out on a boat fucking recording a music video of all. It's just, I'm assuming that's where she got it, because I'm just assuming that's the information I have. But I was like, yeah, we're definitely canceling. Like, it's not a question. Like, I'm canceling right now. Right. And then she texts me back and she's like, yeah, I've just been informed that I was in contact with somebody who tested positive for COVID-19. And I was like, ooh. And she was like, pray for me, right? And then, so my first response to her was this before or after I saw you last?
Right.
Right? And so it was so funny because she didn't reply, and then I was like, oh, I'm not worried about her. So she doesn't give a fuck about answering me. So then I typed a message going like, "Oh, I'm keeping you in my thoughts, and oh my god, I'm so sorry this happened to you." And immediately she was like, "It was after I saw you, so you're in the clear." And I was like, "You fucking selfish bitch, man. God damn." And so now I'm keeping her in my thoughts. But dude, it's so I'm like, and by the way, I went to her house to do one massage, and she was like, "Can you wear a mask? You know, because this and I was like, "Yeah, obviously."
Yeah.
And so I went, and dude, her house was so messy, bro. I was like, "Yeah, this mask is to protect me from this fucking place." It was so bizarre, you know, and
Crazy.
but I'm like, that's all it takes, man, for you to think like, oh, I'm in the clear or whatever, and like, we just never fucking know. Wear your mask.
Exactly.
Be safe.
Wear a mask. Don't do things that you don't. I mean, like, look, that's the thing, right? The unfortunate part of it is like, which I think your story illustrates, is like, and I know this people much smarter than me have talked about this, so like, we don't need to like sit here and talk about it, but like, dude, the problem is like people need to make a living, and
Yeah.
like, so people have to make money, unfortunately, and like the government is not, like we've talked about in like the last podcast we did. You know, there's no central leadership. We have an idiot for president, and this is what happens. Like, you have no people, no one cares for their people. So like, it's gone run rampant in the United States. Whereas, like, you know, I'm from my mom's from Canada. I'm Canadian and American, and in Canada, it's like they're like, stay home. We'll pay you this amount of money per month. Stay home for as long as we need you to stay home, and let's get control of it. They have control of it. Like, British Columbia is ostensibly going to be in the clear if it wasn't for Americans crossing the border and bringing it in. Like, for reals, like, people in Canada are up in arms about Americans coming across the border and bringing COVID into their country because they have it under control. Like, they have it under control. They have really good contact tracing. Everyone's being paid to stay home.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people that are falling through the cracks, just like in any society. I get it, but like, just generally looking at something, like the handling of like just even British Columbia to Washington, and Washington's handled it better than almost every other state in the country. You know, no matter what everybody wants to, like, idiots from Spokane or from fucking, you know, on the other side of the mountains or whatever, want to talk about government, you know, want to talk about Governor Inslee, whatever you guys want to say. Look at all the red states right now and what's happening there. Like, Arizona is like coming up with who are they going to treat first because they don't have enough room in their hospital. So like, you know what I mean? Like, meanwhile, comparatively to British Columbia, Washington sucks handling it, and we're the best in the United States so far. I mean, well, one of them anyway. I think Vermont now is like down to like almost zero new cases. You know, so I just think so like in a situation like that in the United States, like, we're not going to have live music for a long fucking time. I mean, that's just the fucking reality. No one, dude, this shit's not going to go away. Like, the problem in the United States is that no one has enough scientific literacy, in my opinion, to understand that, like, it's not about politics. It's not about personal freedoms. It's fucking nature, guys. This is how nature works. Like, it's a virus. It's contagious. That's it. There's nothing else to it. It's not liberal. It's not conservative.
No.
It's just a little thing that you can't see that will go into your goddamn nose and mouth and make you sick. And you can just wear a mask and stay home for a couple months and we can be done with it.
Yeah.
And at least have control over it and slowly phase in the openings to what's needed and just suck it up for a year or two, dude. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I mean, it's a huge deal in that, like, everyone's kind of going a little crazy and everyone's a little bit like cabin fever and everyone's a little bit like stir crazy, but like, you're alive and you're not sick. You don't have permanent lung damage. You're not permanent. You know, we don't know. Like, we don't know anything about this fucking virus, dude. We don't know the long-term effects. We don't know anything.
Yeah, and I think it's small sacrifices to make that like one thing, the way that I've kind of broken it down to my mom especially, because older people are the ones not fucking listening to instructions. I was like, let's say you have a 98% chance of not catching it, right?
Right.
So you have a 2% chance of catching it. It's very small, very tiny. We never think about it, we never worry about it. But I said, but that 2% is going to feel like fucking hell. So why would you go look for it?
Right.
Because even if you're healthy, even the people that have survived it, they've been through hell. It's not It's not just like a cold. You get to sit out and you're fine. No, this is something new for the body.
Right.
And so I think once I kind of started breaking it down like that, um, people started seeing that it's not just a cough, it's not just a sickness, it's something new to everybody. So nobody knows, but all of a sudden we're all virologists, we're all, medical professionals and politicians at that.
Yeah. Like, how are they? Yeah. Why are you listening to people like that? I mean, why is a person listening to like someone like Trump or Pence or anything like that? What are you doing? Like,
yeah, I really don't get it. But yeah, I mean, I think I want to say I don't know when I'll be comfortable going to a live show, but I want to say that I want to go. I want to go as soon as it's available, and I guess somewhat safe to go. But it's just, I don't know. I don't even know. I could say within the next year, but who knows? Because once the end of this year comes and we start the cycle again or whatever, what's it all going to look like?
Yeah, what's flu season going to look like?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole thing, right? Like that the whole thing is like, from what we know, from what I've read, and like, again, I'm not a virologist, like I am very science literate, but I'm not an epidemiologist or whatever. But like, the places that it spreads are indoors, where people are either heavy breathing, screaming, or singing. And those are fucking live music venues. Indoors, heavy breathing, screaming, singing. Very little. Think about all the shows I've gone to where it's fucking burning hot inside there.
Yeah.
People spitting on me, like beer all over the place. Like, that's a super spreading COVID-19 event. Like, I'm not being a part of it. Like, I'm not doing it.
And also, somebody in a mosh pit and somebody with a fever are pretty much sweating the same amount and looking the same. So
and how do
you differentiate?
Somebody on Molly at a rave watching it, freaking out on a DJ, and someone having COVID. Like, how are you going to tell them apart?
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
You don't know.
So we don't know what it will look like. I've always, since this whole thing started, I've been very hopeful. I've been seeing this as an opportunity. I see it as a business opportunity, a personal opportunity to kind of relabel myself and, kind of rethink the new future, because that's the only way we're going to succeed, man, is staying with it, staying with the wave. And otherwise, if we are too proud to change with it, we're gonna get left behind, and whether it's society or just fan base, people are just not gonna agree with you. The people that agree with you, you don't want them on your side, I don't know. It's just
no. I mean, totally. I mean, and I think other countries are taking the lead in all of this. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's a lot of drive-in concerts going on in other countries right now. And, like, other countries are going to then be able to have live music in a new way. And, like, I think outdoor festivals are a good, outdoor venues are a good thing. What's crazy is, like, underground raves have started to become, like, really popular now because they're illegal anyway. So it's like, doesn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? I read this whole article about it, and then that's like I grew up doing that shit, like breaking into warehouses and pulling power from the warehouse next door, and like
Yeah.
like setting up like 3 or 4 days, staking out warehouses, and then like setting them up and like printing flyers and doing like I mean I literally did those parties when I was in high school. Like I made them, I produced them throughout LA, like party crews and stuff, and like I just did that shit because I was a stupid kid. Like I didn't know any better. And that's who's doing it now. You know what I mean? Stupid kids, which is great. But like also the problem with that is that it now prolongs us all being staying in the house because you're going to spread it and then there's more cases. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Like, I think when there's a vaccine and people feel comfortable taking the vaccine, which is a whole other thing, you know what I mean? It's like there's going to be a vaccine, and there's like a large portion of people that are going to be down with taking the vaccine, right?
Yeah.
And then there's going to be a great portion of people who, and I know a lot of people who are like this, are not going to want to take the vaccine because they're scared of vaccines, right?
I mean, I personally, I don't know, man. I think that I'm on the fence about it. I just because I'm not educated on, what the fuck am I? And also, the last time that I got and the only time I ever got a flu shot, I got so fucking sick, man. And I've never been sick like that until I got that shot. So I personally am questioning, like, what am I putting in my body? And what's it gonna do? Because
Which are valid concerns. Like, I mean, there's a couple vaccines out there, from what I understand, that are proven safe because they've been used before for other virus. Like, they're just piggybacking on research they've already done.
Mm.
And so they know to a certain extent that they're safe-ish, right? Which is, I think, as good as you're going to get right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to be first in line. Like, I'm not trying to say that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be last in line either, though. Like, and I think one thing that might happen, and I'm curious to see how it all plays out, is like, you're going to start seeing people who have been vaccinated or who have got it and who have the antibodies in their system being able to do more than people who are not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's going to start its own separation of class at some point. And then you're going to have like the have and have nots in a very significant way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's literally people who can go and work and walk around and do stuff. And then there's literally people who have to stay inside because they might get sick. And like that's going to lead to a whole other set of issues. So I think
how do you enforce that?
I know. Well, I think you're gonna. Yeah, exactly. How do you enforce that? I don't know, but I mean, I think it self-enforces though because people get sick. You know, I think having it changes the way you look at how you behave. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know, man. But I mean, I think and like that's how. So I think like touring artists specifically, right? Like people who make like the vast majority of their money playing live shows on tour, which is a lot of people. Yeah. In the music business anyway. I think a lot of them are going to be the first people to get vaccinated. But the thing I wonder about that is like they're going to be vaccinated and they're going to go get back on tour, but who's going to go to the fucking shows?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm wondering, like, because there's a lot of people. I mean, for all we know, we could have the antibody, right. Without ever having gotten COVID. And I'm wondering, like, do those people still need to get vaccinated? Are those in a separate category, I guess? And are those people free to roam?
Right. How long does vaccination even going to last? How long does immunity last? I mean, we really don't know.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. Yeah. We don't know. It's like we think it's going to be like a couple years of lasting immunity. Like as far as from what I've read, like, preprint papers and stuff, which, are not peer reviewed. So who knows how, correct they are.
Yeah.
But, or is it a couple months? You know what I mean? If it's just a couple
Yeah.
months of immunity, then it's might as well. It's just like the flu shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
From
And then you
what
have to
I
get
understand, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then you have to get the COVID-20 vaccination,
Right.
and we'll just go
And
from
then the
there.
2021, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. I think
So,
like we just don't know. I mean, like eventually, I mean, the thing that the thing to I think I don't know if it's like I'm not sure this is like positive or negative way of looking at it, but the truth of the matter is like the society has gone through shit like this in the past. This isn't the first
yeah.
time it's happened.
Hmm.
This has happened many times. It's going to happen
Yeah.
again. And the only difference now is that it hasn't happened to us as a modern society in a really long time. So we don't know how to behave.
Yeah.
But it's happened to our ancestors, like my grandmother and grandpa. It's happened to
Yeah.
I mean, think about like all of our parents, especially my parents' age, they all had TB shots and like uh, polio vaccines and stuff
Polio.
because
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
legit were dealing with that as an outbreak. Like they
Yeah.
literally, and that was happening to their kids, which I can't even imagine having a kid. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, so like, I mean, we've gone through this before and we got through it. And, the human immune system is pretty robust and give it, a couple years and some herd immunity and, maybe a good vaccine or two. And it will be another sickness that we have in
Yeah.
our ability to like fight in our immune
Yeah.
system. But like, in the meantime, we have to make it without starting a war or implode in civil unrest for the next year or two.
Yeah.
We literally only have to figure it out for like 2 years. And then we'll be
Hmm.
fine. Things will be new and different, but it will be, everything will be okay and we won't have to worry about sicknesses and we'll see each other and probably be able to gather in groups of larger than 5 who are not our
Yeah.
close family and our households or whatever, but it's going to take time and like people are not people in the United States have it really well and I think they're not have it really good and they're only now realizing how good they have it because it's been taken
Yeah.
away from them. You know what I mean?
There's such arrogance to that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I feel like one of the biggest tools and one of the biggest detriments to us is the internet. The not only the ability to get information, get proper information, but also the ability to get all the bullshit.
Yeah,
And
misinformation is so big right
and
now.
yeah, and it's just so like you really have to take time. Like you have the entire encyclopedia on in the palm of your hand. It doesn't take much to look up some information, make up your own mind, make a decision, make your own rules and kind of live by them, and but when people start I love the word sheep, by the way. When people start just acting upon like, oh well, he voted for my guy, so I'm gonna do what he's doing, that's when it becomes dangerous.
Right.
And it's just um that's the scary part for me is when people are like, "Oh, you're vaccinated," or get away from me because you have vaccinations inside of you, or some. I don't know. People are just so out of it, man. It's so crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I have to deal. I mean, I have a couple family members who are kind of like that. Not who are necessarily like conservatives or Republicans, but who are pretty anti-vaccination and like
Yeah.
anti-Western medicine, but have very little science literacy. Um,
Mm,
and I think those two things go hand in hand. When you don't have science literacy
yeah.
and you understand like let's say like even a cursory understanding of the inner workings of a cell. You know what I mean? And how like transport across a cell wall happens and how like immune responses happen, how stages of inflammation and how like the body moves through the stages of inflammation. and deals with everything. You know what I mean? Because like that tells you a lot, or just understanding that like this is a new virus that the body has never seen before, therefore has no library, has no way of dealing with it. So that the way it deals with it is by killing everything, including its own self. You know what I mean? It's just cytokine storm and like that whole thing. And on top of that, we also don't know how the body's going to react to it long term. Does it hang out in the body? Does it go retreat? Does it retreat when the body's got a good control over it? Hang out in the brain for a while and then come back in 3 or 4 years like shingles does, or like, you know, like chicken's pox does? We don't fucking know. We don't fucking know.
That's so true.
So the stuff like that, that's the thing people don't get. It's like, we also don't know like long-term effects. Like, you know, so there's obviously like a really big blood clotting problem that happens when you have this sickness, right? So we assume that a lot of those blood clots are dealt with and then put away, you know, not put away, but are, you know, dissolved and dealt with by the body as the body gains control over the virus and figures out a way to fight it, because the body can fight it. We've proven that. We have you know, most people are recovered. Most people who are positive have recovered. Some people have some very significant problems afterwards, but some people don't. You know what I mean? But a lot of people don't. Most people don't. So we know the body can fight it. The thing that people I don't think understand, and like people who I know and people who I think are kind of having a big problem with this, like emotionally and psychologically, is that like, give science time to figure it out and they'll figure it out. But if you don't believe that science is worth anything, if you don't believe that like epidemiologists know what they're talking about, then you don't give a shit. You're not going to wait for them and you're just going to do what you think is right. But that's so stupid. Funny. That means you're dumb. Like, I'm sorry to say, you know what I mean? I don't mean to say that to
believe a politician over a doctor.
Right. Or to believe not only that, but just to believe some random piece of information that you found on the internet over information that's been given to you by a group of scientists, epidemiologists, and physicians. Like the CDC, and then peer reviewed by a numerous, and then look at the consensus of people who know more than you about that subject, and then be like, okay, well, like these guys are saying like a couple things. Social distancing works, masks work, and vaccines will work eventually when we figure it out.
Yeah.
But the crazy fucking idiot on YouTube who screams, "You're going to believe?" Why? Or the crazy woman who is healing you with crystals, you're going to believe that person. Why? Like, what makes you believe? That's what I always am asking. Like, what makes you believe this person over that person? Like, what makes you feel that way? Because in my opinion, the truth is this is just my opinion. I don't know this to be the truth, but my opinion says it's just emotions that's making you believe. You want to believe what this person says because it makes you feel better. You don't want to believe what the scientist says because it scares the shit out of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But unfortunately, like, you have to face your fears, guys. Like, that's just how it is. It is terrifying. And so let's see what we can do together to try and, you know, fix it, as opposed to like believing like kale shakes and crystals are going to heal you from COVID-19, because they're not. Or the vitamin D and vitamin C are going to make everything okay. And it's not going to happen.
It's
like,
not,
we know this to be the case. We know this very significantly. There's certain things we do know and certain things we don't know. But so I think that's where it all comes back down to like, the crazy thing about it is, like, live music is the last person in line. You know what I mean? Like, live music is the last thing people give a shit about being on. You know, like, some of us really care, but it's like, it's such a low priority for everybody. You know what I mean? So it's like, I mean, 2 years from now, sure, maybe there will be some shows.
It's such a huge industry, though. It's such a multi-layered because you don't just have the musicians and the fans, you have everybody else putting all of that together.
Right.
And it's so much deeper than just not going to a show, because that means servers, bartenders, a lot of those people,
sound crew, lights,
exactly, still don't have a chance to return to something, and it's such a spread out industry in that sense that it's crazy. It's crazy how much it impacts, and how much I think us live music lovers, how much we need it, and how much we kind of yearn to go back, but we just have to make these small sacrifices, to keep ourselves safe and fucking others, man, because that's it's so dumb. Honestly, it's so. I have my own limits. For instance, like I wear a mask all day when I'm working. I'm working on clients, so I don't feel. I don't want after work then to go out somewhere and continue wearing the fucking mask.
Right, exactly.
So I make the small sacrifice of not going anywhere and isolating, so I don't have to wear the mask and be safe.
Right.
I aside from live music, I'm good with not going out.
Right.
And I understand that it's a small sacrifice. If I don't want to wear a mask out in public, I'm staying my ass home, because that's just a choice that I'm making, but I have to make a wise decision for all of us, And I mean, I would hate to. None of us are immune to the possibility of getting it, but I would. To me, it feels like, like this girl texted me and she's like, I was around somebody that tested positive. Pray for me. I'm gone now. She's off the map, and I hate to kind of think of it like that. Where even in my head as a joke, I was like, I don't want you infecting me, and like I was trying to kind of play it out like you're infected now. Get away from me, and I'm like, that's kind of where we're moving with people. Where people are like, oh, somebody. Oh my God, I can't, I'm nervous about being around you. And you're like, no, it was my cousin in Mexico or whatever, not around here.
Yeah, like my brother-in-law got it. And we were like, so we did like a drive-by to see him, we drove by his house and we're like, yo, what's up to him? And my sister and their kids. And they were fine. They didn't actually get it. So they were either immune to it or they were good. I mean, I know for a fact that he had been isolating in a different part of the house.
Yeah.
Fully isolating himself from everybody. Yeah, I mean, he had it for a long time, dude. Like, it kicked his ass. It kicked his ass.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And so he doesn't know where he got it.
If it's who I'm thinking, that's a strong boy. He, like, I feel like, especially like a cold or something, he's like, it's nothing or whatever,
Right. Yeah, wow. I mean, but it hits Latinos harder than it does anybody else. So he got nailed. Yeah. He got hammered.
Whoa.
And he just was like, dude, it was like really hard to breathe. Like I couldn't walk anywhere. He's like, I could barely open orange juice in the refrigerator.
Oh my God.
For like 3 or 4 days. Now he's better. He's way better. The crazy thing is, the same thing that sucks, I feel so bad for him, is he finally started feeling better. And he's like, okay, like he's not working, obviously. Hasn't gone back to work or whatever. So he started like working on his house. So he was framing I think it was like a window covering, but it was like a heavy wood. And he dropped it on his toe and broke his toe. Like a week after he started feeling better. So now he's totally fucked.
God damn it, man. Fuck 2020,
So he had COVID. Now he's got a broken toe.
Oh my God.
Poor guy, man.
But you know what?
But he's feeling better. He's
better.
recovered. He doesn't
That's
seem
good.
to have any kind of long-term issues with it. I know another guy
That's
who's a
good.
friend of mine from movie producing back in the day, and he's a famous movie. I mean, he's produced some of the biggest movies. He's been one of the producers on some of the biggest movies, like Pirates of the Caribbean, Fast and Furious. Like, I could list some of the movies this guy's produced, and people would be like, "Whoa!" And he got hammered, dude. He had it for 30 days. And like,
Whoa.
granted, my friend who got it, he's in Tennessee now. He lives like right outside Nashville. He's got like a big ass farm and stuff, but he's not in best shape. And I think he like now really appreciates taking care of himself. And I don't think he's much. I think he's only like, he might just be like almost 50, like 48 or something like that. But
Damn.
he definitely is going to have some long-term health effects from it. Like, his doctors have said, like, your heart was damaged and your lungs were damaged by this sickness.
Whoa.
So like, you're gonna be forever dealing with this problem. So yeah. And like, he feels better now. He's more or less recovered, but it's been almost 2 months.
Wow.
So for 2 months, he's been dealing with this thing, and he will now deal with it for his entire life. And like, he's got plenty of money. He's got plenty of medical care.
Yeah.
He's a successful dude. It doesn't matter. Like, none of that shit matters, dude. Like, doesn't matter how poor, doesn't matter how rich you are. It's a fucking virus. Like, it's gonna get, if you go risk it, it can get you. And
yeah,
it sucks.
There's a quote from Martin Lawrence, which I've loved ever since he came out with this. In one of his comedy specials, Run Tell That, a long time ago, he has a phrase that he says, no one is immune to the trials and tribulations of life.
Right.
And I've kept that with me ever since I heard that. And this virus is something that puts us all on the level. Sure, some people are zooming from their mansions, but
right.
But we're all in the same fucking pool right now, and we're all susceptible to the same virus. But what's crazy is we all are gonna have a different experience with it, right?
Yeah.
We don't know how it's gonna hit us individually.
Yeah, exactly.
We know how it hit us economically and socially, but we don't know how it's going to affect us personally. And I feel like that's where we need to really make it important,
I mean, I think just to kind of like, yeah, I agree. I think you're right. And I mean, just to kind of bring it back to like, I think there is some like cool shit that's going to happen like virtually. Like, I think like we talked about last time we had a podcast, like, the Travis Scott concert on Fortnite was a cool thing, and like shit like that I think is cool, and that's happening. I think the Twitch people who are on Twitch doing music live on Twitch is cool, and like there's an audience for it. People do like it.
Yeah.
I think virtual concerts where you have virtual concerts at venues are cool. I think just like live streaming on YouTube, your own shit. Like, I'm going to start doing some of that stuff. I got myself a tripod coming in the mail and a nice selfie friggin' light and all that kind of stuff. Cause like, you got to do some of that stuff. Like, I have music coming out, like I have to promote it. And like, that's the only way we can promote it right now is content. Yeah. Just create content and put it out as much as you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
And just keep putting it out there so that, you're out there in the stream, on the timeline. And like, I still think there's room for like some really unique performances live. Like, there's something that people aren't doing yet that,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it is, but like, there's definitely something that is going to be new and unique that's going to come of all of this stuff, that's going to utilize the internet to create like, I mean, that's the thing. It's like we're missing, right? It's like going to a live show at a club or, even at a big concert is you get to share that experience with like your friends who you go with, and you get to like connect in a weird way with the artist, and you get to see them like at a vulnerable place. And I think that's important for people to see, is like their favorite artists be vulnerable on stage and like open themselves up and expose themselves, for lack of a better term, which is why I think like big produced shows are an experience and a spectacle, like with fireworks, but it removes the connection to the artist. Like I don't feel very connected when I go see a huge concert. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't feel
Yeah.
very connected to that artist. I experience it. I think it's cool. And it's like when everything's choreographed and rehearsed and there's fireworks and like all
Yeah.
that stuff, it's fucking awesome. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to say it's not cool. I'm just saying I don't feel connected to that artist in any way, though. I'm just like, whoa,
Yeah.
what a spectacle. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
fireworks. It's like anything.
Yeah.
But
I
when you
went
go
to
to
go
a,
see the
oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go- I went to go see the Up in Smoke tour many years ago, and it was elaborate hydraulic car on stage, and
Right.
it was all of that, man. It was crazy. But
Yeah.
I got
So
to
I
see
think,
Eminem, so
yeah, exactly. But I mean, do you feel like you connected with Eminem in that moment? Not really, right?
no, and I mean, I feel like I
I mean,
was.
maybe. I don't know.
It felt like looking at a shooting star. Like you're like,
Right.
oh fuck, I got to see it, and then it's gone.
Exactly.
And but
So I think
yeah,
there's like there's an
the
opportunity to like connect with your fans, probably in a way
yeah,
that hasn't been fully realized yet in this new situation that we're in. Like I don't
yeah,
know what it is. When I do figure it out, I'll be fucking doing it. I don't know what it is. Because like when you go to a show at, let's say, like at the Tractor Tavern or the Sunset Tower, like a club size, or like even size like the Echo in LA, or like even like that size, or even like Neptune, or like one of those like bigger kind of venues, but doesn't
yeah,
lend itself to like a big stage and like a big crazy spectacle. I think about going to shows at the Troubadour in Hollywood or something like that, where it's like you're right there. Like they can see you
yeah,
and you can see them. Like you can look them in the eyes and smile at them. And if they smile at you,
yeah.
you know they smiled at you. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like people in the front at those big spectacle shows probably have that experience, but they're still super separated from the talent,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
most shows. Some shows I'm sure that changes, but so I think like there's something to like there's something there that we haven't figured out yet. You know what I mean? And it's
yeah.
not like I don't think it's playing a show in a video game. Like I don't think that gives you a connection.
No,
I don't think playing
no.
video games with your favorite artist really is also, that's one thing I've been seeing people do. Like I think
Right.
Ice-T played like Modern Warfare or played Call of Duty with a bunch of his fans the other day. It's like, that's cool, but like,
Yeah.
it's not the
I
same,
mean, I personally would have to go get a game console, buy the game, hook it up. Like it's too much work.
Right, but I'm saying
It's
like,
too much.
so there's got to be a way. There's something that we haven't figured out yet that
Yeah.
you can connect, because I think that's what people want, especially now more than ever, is to connect with
Yeah.
with the people whose music they love. You know what I mean? They really want to, but not in a way where it's like, oh, I connect emotionally because I love this song and I like the video, but in a real way, like I met this person virtually, you know what I mean? Or I watched them
Yeah.
virtually and they commented on the thing that you know what I mean? Or like
Yeah.
they know me now or something like that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's got to
Yeah.
be a way to do that somehow and have it be music, like have it be like a performance.
Yeah.
There's somewhere,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's like Zoom concert with like everyone's head on the screen or something, or like,
I mean,
I don't
I
know.
would think maybe some sort of a household holograph or hologram projector, and have like a Tupac hologram at home, and That seems to be kind of the future right now.
But then you're talking about like then there's like a cost that for most people is not going to be like, who can afford to buy a hologram projection unit and put it in their house?
Yeah.
So I think it has to be like mobile phone based. It has to be computer based. It has to be accessible, like some kind of platform that allows that to happen. And I'm sure it exists. I'm sure people are figuring it out.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know really what that is, you know what I mean? I don't think it's really social media either. I don't think social media really does it. I don't think that's really like a form of connection that I mean, I think people already get that. Like they already have that way of doing it, like connection with their favorite artists or whatever. And like I think there's going to be some other way of doing that. And maybe it's like live music on Twitch. I don't think so though. Like, I mean, I know there is a connection there. You know what I mean? Like, because you can chat with the person and they can sometimes respond back and, you can like. But for a musician, it's a lot. There's like a barrier, there's an entrance barrier there money wise. Like, because it requires like a lot of money to set up a live stream setup. It's not that much money, but just like anything, like it requires like some cash, to set up everything, like camera, live stream, microphone, like all that stuff. So, and some people are just not going to do that because they're just not tech savvy enough, or they just don't want to.
Yeah.
And I think like just playing a guitar in front of your phone is cool, but I don't know, like there's a lot of that on the internet already. You know what I mean? Like, do we need more of it? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and also, do you want to see your favorite musician playing from his living room?
Right.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people do. I think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Does it take away from the image that you've created of them? I don't know.
I think that's okay though, because I feel like that's an evolution of probably something that needs to happen anyway. Like celebrity worship is way out of hand in the first place. So like bringing that down to earth is probably fine. I watched Jeff Tweedy and his two sons perform a song on Jimmy Fallon from their bathroom. Or no, I'm sorry, it was on Jimmy Kimmel. Jimmy Fallon. Is it Jimmy Fallon? Oh, okay. Yeah. And Jimmy Kimmel. Two Jimmys. Right? So there's two Jimmys. Yeah. All right. Anyways,
Jimmy
I saw
Kimmel.
the Kimmel one.
Yeah.
And that was cool because it was like, oh fuck, these guys are this is obvious. These are obviously his sons. And like they all sound alike and they harmonize like almost perfectly. And they're just singing in their bathroom. So it's just like you got like a feeling that it's very obvious that they've done this many times before. You know what I mean? Like they sit around as a family and play music regularly because it was super casual, super mellow, and very low key. But it was also like it gave me like a window into like this family obviously sits around in their living room and plays music together pretty regularly because holy shit, were they in fucking tune together. Like it was amazing.
Yeah.
And
wow.
So I think things like that, like that would be weird. You know what I mean? Like I think yeah, like I've always been like a little bit averse to bringing people into my home and letting them see like what my life looks like. I don't know why, just always have. Like I like my privacy. But I feel like a lot of that's going to go away during all of this. Like I think people are going to get more connected to what it's like in like at their everyday life inside their home. You know what I mean? They're going to open that to the internet, which is probably good and probably bad in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
But like I think
it'll
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It'll be good to have that connection socially, but in the long run, I don't think it'll be very healthy,
Yeah.
Also, every day this, and I always put this in perspective of like, who am I a fan of, and what do I want from them? Do I want to see them vlogging every day, and do I want to see their emotional ups and downs, and because me personally, at least, I'm interested in get your ass in the studio, show me the process, or give me a show.
Yeah.
You know, I really don't want to know what you got at the grocery store or something like that. You know,
Right.
and kind of setting up those limitations that you want to present to your audience. I feel, you know, kind of like how they say, "Don't meet your heroes" or whatever.
Right.
You know, you want to give your fans enough to still support you, but you don't want to overwhelm them with your private life. You know.
Right.
And yeah, so I mean, it's all just very interesting, and again, for me, exciting. I'm excited to,
Yeah.
you know, to see where this is going. As long as we're safe, we're healthy, I'm fucking excited about the future.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. It's good to hear. I am
Yeah.
too, in some ways. I try
Yeah,
and be.
I mean,
I try to be. I try to be. I'm
Yeah.
working on doing that. I think. I mean, like I said, humans have been through this many times before. There's been novel viruses in ours that have come up, and we've never seen them before, and blah blah blah. So, I mean, I think we'll get over it, and it'll be a different place, and I think it will be a better place. I think one of the things it's really having people take stock of their lives and like what's important to them, and I think that's kind of what was needed, especially in the United States. And unfortunately, what that looks like for a large portion of people, especially in specifically Republican and red states, is they have to face the hate and the crappiness that they're spewing out there, and they don't want to, and so they're just projecting it out onto people all over the place. And it's also bringing, people's health to light. It's like, it's unfortunately this disease, if you're overweight, if you have comorbidities that include like cardiovascular issues and heart health and all that stuff, it really will kick your ass. And so like people have to think about that now, and they don't want to think about that. And people don't want to think. So I think like that's what we're seeing in the US is a lot of that, like you're saying, that crazy privilege and that like how good we've had it for as long. But I think there's also just as many, if not more, people like going for runs more often, going for bike rides, being with their family, like focusing on the things that are actually important. So like you said, I think there is a
anaerobic respiration in your body, right? That's one thing that I've been explaining to my sister, actually, is I'm like, you don't have to go for a run. You don't have to, I'm like, just create that anaerobic. I mean, go up and down the stairs 20 times. You know, you don't have to go that far.
Man. Just go for a walk.
Walk fast.
Yeah, or just go for a walk around. I mean, just walking, just walk. Yeah. Just go for a walk, dude. Explore your neighborhood. It's funny how many people, like in our neighborhood, who I've seen for the first time walking, over the last couple months. And it's like, now I see them all the time. And it's like, I've never seen you before in my life. And you live like 4 houses down. I'm walking all the time because I have a dog and I have a kid and we go to the park and we're always outside walking. But I've never seen you. Who the fuck are you? You know what I mean?
Check
and it's like,
ID.
oh shit, you live like 4 houses down. This is the first time you fucking taken a walk in your goddamn neighborhood? Like, so I mean, that's good. You know what I mean? That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said,
I support that.
Yeah, I support that. And like, I think you're right. I think you got like, there's like a lot of new good stuff coming. And, and for the Mood is Music podcast, there is new stuff coming. You have a song that is the bumper music on this that's out. You put out during the COVID pandemic, right? It's out on Spotify now and everything?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I quit Facebook, by the way, too. I
saw, dude.
I've been threatening this on the podcast for like the last year, and I finally quit Facebook. I'm still on Twitter.
I have no idea how the fuck you did it. It must have cost a lot of fucking money because it seems impossible.
No, you just hit delete. Here's the deal. You hit delete and you have to not log in for 30 days.
And then it goes away?
And then everything's gone. But you know what? But what's crazy is that I actually did log in because I was trying to put my band, my music page, give control over it to my wife. And in the process of doing that, removed myself as an admin. And then it disappeared when I deleted my app. So I'm completely gone from Facebook. Which
nice.
you know what, dude? Like, honestly, I don't care. Like, it hasn't.
Yeah.
I haven't really been checking. Like, I've been posting on Facebook, but what I've always been doing is just scheduling posts for like a week out and just never logging in. And then anytime I log in, I just get frustrated with the people who are on there. And like, I specifically was on Facebook a lot. I like to fish a lot, and so I was on there a lot for like fishing groups up here in the Northwest. Like, fishing's a big thing: salmon, crab, and trout, and like.
I want to start actually.
Crab season just opened today, so I'm gonna go crabbing probably real soon.
Nice.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, those groups are full of idiots, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so I have to, while I'm looking at, like stupid things people who fish look for, I still got to deal with like idiots talking about like, they're going to open the fish in fucking Governor Inslee. Like, just like all this dumb. And I was just like, God, you guys fucking shut up. You're so ridiculous. Anyways, so anyways, like, even looking at things like that, it's like, I can get that information in other places. I don't need to get it from a Facebook group. It's probably better information from other places anyway. Like, Facebook groups are terrible places.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I get the same thing with massage pages.
Yeah.
Where it's the same fucking, like, what am I going to do? Like, bitch, we're all in this together.
Right.
You're going to do the same thing we're all doing.
Yeah.
You don't have to. It's so crazy.
There's a lot of drama.
So I might follow suit very, very soon. Very soon.
I just did it. I can't support what Facebook is doing. And like, I've had some family members on Facebook now recently, and just some of the things they're sharing, because they're not looking at sources, and and they're not like reading things with a critical eye, in my opinion. And so I just like, I can't. I have to get away from all of that. So anyways, so it's bringing interesting new changes. I'm spending a lot more time on YouTube, like producing, content for YouTube, and on Twitter, just putting stuff out there and talking to people and trying to be positive in general, not in general, trying not to further the negative agenda that exists on all social media, but definitely not being on Facebook is awesome. So I highly recommend it to everybody. If you,
I'm telling you,
if you think you need it, you really don't.
You really don't. Yeah, you're
don't.
not missing out on the idiocy or anything else like that.
And I think promotion wise, like, that was also like my big thing was like quitting Facebook. Was always like there was fear around it, because like, I had easily like 1,000 or plus fans on Facebook, you know what I mean? And like, but are they? I don't know if they're real. And are they real fans? I don't know. If they are, then find me on other platforms. Like, some of them have found me on other platforms.
It's true.
If you're my friends and we don't talk beyond Facebook, then we're not friends. So that's okay. I don't need that. Yeah. And if we're family, so email me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Email me, call me. Like, I prefer to talk to you through email, text, or calls. I don't want to talk to you through a corporate filter. We already are doing that through our phones. Like, we don't need a Facebook to tell us who we should pay attention to. So it's been good. So that happened. And I think we also have a new trajectory for our podcast, which I think is probably going to be more popular anyway for us, with the artist features, and actually spending a little bit more time like crafting and producing the podcast. Even though it's going to take more time and energy, I think it will be worth it.
I think it will. I think not just. I think it'll be beautiful to start getting more responses from people and more listeners and kind of growing that. And I feel like we're gonna stop saying the new norm, and it's just gonna be normal, and we'll find the sweet spot, and we will benefit from it in every sense of the word, and so I think we just kind of either have to stay with the current or stay ahead of it. We can't really stay ahead of it, so we just got to stay not too far behind it,
For real.
So but yeah, I think before we take off, I have maybe a couple of stories I want to share. I think the most exciting story that I want to share is recently there was a song called Bang with Conway the Machine featuring Eminem called Bang. And there's been a recent leaked version of this song where Eminem is dissing a whole bunch of people and stuff. And one of those was Revolt TV. And Revolt TV answered back to Eminem on Twitter and was just like, F you too, Eminem. And so this has been making some noise out there, and one of the reasons I not only like Eminem as an artist, but I respect him as a human being, because he's worried about putting good shit out there. He wants to be relevant in hip hop, worries about the quality of music, the quality of his lyrics and all that, but is also aware of where he's at in time and place, as far as like sacrificing fans to make a cipher against Trump or something like that, and so he put out a response to Revolt. And so he says, quote, I agree with Revolt. This is an unnecessary distraction. I never meant for that verse to be heard. I was heated in the moment and thought better of it and decided to pull it back. Stuff that I never intended to release continues to leak from the huge wheat transfer hack. I don't have any issues with Revolt. I'd actually welcome the opportunity to work with them on some positive things and turn this in a different direction. Like, as far as like being a fan of an artist, that's what I want. Like, he's a controversial artist and whatever you want, but in the moment when it matters, he's the first one to go like, hey, my bad, or whatever, And I feel like we need, in this day and age, we need a lot more of that. So I just wanted to kind of shout out my boy, my friend Eminem, because I feel like we need a lot more of that. Like, he's negative, he's angry, he's all of that, but he's he knows his place, and I respect that. And so for future, I think Mood is Music episodes, I want to see if I can have more kind of little stories like this to close out or whatever. And so.
Are they all going to be stories about Eminem, or are we going to do other stuff?
Those are just easier. They're easier for me to digest and release, but they will not all be Eminem.
Nice.
90-10.
That's a cool one.
90-10.
90%. 90% Eminem, 10% other shit.
Yeah. So,
nice.
But yeah, so also, apparently, well, not apparently, but today is the 56th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So that's, I feel like it's very important to mention that.
Yeah,
as I've been telling my Mexican people, because on Facebook, I've seen people post things like videos of black people assaulting Latinos and like a paletero or something like that. And I'm why? What am I going to do with this information?
Right.
And one thing that I've been telling people is, if it wasn't for this movement, the Civil Rights Act, none of us would have those rights. And so we can't look at it like, oh, but what about me? What about what they do to me? No, it's about kind of like wearing a mask. It's about everybody's safety, rights, and a chance to pursue, happiness and opportunities.
Right.
And so I to my people, I want to make it clear that this is for the rights of all people, not just black, white, brown, male or female, but for everybody. I'm thinking about like, my niece's babies when they grow up. What will they have the same rights more or less, or what's it going to, and we have to protect their futures in that sense, and so I just think that it's very important to make those things known within our own communities and not get frustrated when they don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think that's true. And like, I think that's the thing about like everyone, like the protests, the Black Lives Matter protests and the defund the police and all that stuff. Like people are like, like so weird about it. Like people get so angry because you say like something like Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
And it's like, then they start yelling all lives matter, or they start like, or like those idiots in Snohomish where they like come down with guns and like, because no one's going to go to Snohomish and loot and rob the place. Like, what the fuck are you guys? How are you that disconnected, you dummies?
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to do that. Like, literally, the mayor of the town of Snohomish came out and was like, yes, I'm proud of my citizens because they came with their guns and they protected themselves from something that wasn't ever going to happen. Like, it's so crazy how fragile and weak some people
in
are.
Like tactical gear.
Bro, you guys don't know how to. First of all, look, like, a lot of you guys are overweight, bro. Like, a lot of you guys, if we get in a gunfight and it goes for a long period of time, your cardio is going to hit you real hard.
Yeah.
And in that moment. And like, I know, we both know a lot of veterans, and we know those dudes are in good shape. Like the guys when they were fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, they were in really good shape. They carried equipment for long periods of time. They holed up in holes fighting people for long periods of time. And I don't think those guys are it. Like, I don't think those guys are going to do what they think they're going to do when they go out there and try and fight in their trucks and gear. Like, if you know how to use an AR-15, that's great, but that's just a small part of fighting with guns.
Yeah.
Like,
did you read about Sacha Baron Cohen?
Yeah. I thought that was
how
awesome.
amazing is that guy?
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, so a lot of these guys, I think they're in the minority, but they make like a big stink and they carry guns around, so they intimidate people and they make people feel scared. And like, I don't think people on the right, like, first of all, I now like look at anybody with a truck and an American flag, that dude's alt-right. Me and my wife now just walk around saying alt-right a lot because we live in Snohomish County, and like I kind of feel like everyone in Snohomish County is alt-right, but I know they're not. I know there's a lot of people just like me here because I'm friends with them. But I don't think people who are alt-right realize how many gun-owning liberals there are. You know what I mean? And how many of those gun-owning liberals, just because they don't advertise that they're gun owners, and just because they don't advertise they go to the gun range and learn how to use their guns and have ammunition, I don't think they realize that there's a lot of us.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gun-owning liberals out there who know how to use their guns and are in really good shape and have probably fought with guns before in the past. So
and can also work a knife.
Yeah. So like, I just don't think I think like part of that thing that happened at CHOP too, where it's like, I think people think that the police are the only people who know how to like handle things. And like, I think like, that's like the thing, right? It's like citizens can police themselves and they do it regularly in other countries. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in Nicaragua, you cannot rely on the police to come and help you. Like, it's not something anyone relies on.
No. Yeah.
And you help yourselves and your community. It's the strength of your community that is how you get by every day. It's like your relationship to the people around you, and like the people who are taking care of the most people are usually the most highly regarded people in times like that, in places like that, I should say. And so I don't know, man. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. I think after the election, I think a lot of things will come to a head depending on how that goes,
Dude.
So we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll probably be doing this podcast from Mexico and in Spanish. Así que ahí nos vemos.
Well, on that
Shit,
note,
man.
why don't you plug their new song and your
Yeah, man. Stuck in Madness. Find that on Spotify. Also look me up on Twitter, Silencer138. And same handle on Instagram. I'm probably gonna follow suit, like I said, and deleting my Facebook very soon, just because a lot of stupid shit on Facebook, and so I'll definitely be following suit in that. I made a little isolation, social distanced music video for Stuck in Madness. And that is on my YouTube channel, which is Silencer138 as well, I believe.
Everything Silencer138.
Everything. It's gotta be that, So if you guys get a chance, go download it or listen to it and give me some feedback. Email us at moodismusic@gmail.com and give us some feedback on what you want to know, what you want to hear.
That's right. Yeah. And I did a mix for that.
Yes.
For that track. So check it out. Tell me what you think of the mix. I feel like the mix is good. But you guys tell us what you think. I'm only on Twitter and YouTube right now, and I'll probably keep it that way. It's at Kanika Music, Canica Music, Kanika Music on Twitter, and then just Marcelo Plays Music on YouTube. Or if you just go to my website, which is marceloquinones.com.
And if I may close with this, I just want to say R.I.P., rest in peace to Vanessa Guillen, Breonna Taylor, Elijah McClain, and of course, George Floyd.
That's right.
And peace to all. Love to you, my brother. And,
yeah, man. It's good to see you through the screen.
Yeah, you too, man.
I'll see you soon, bud.
All right.
At first I was a beaner, chinga tu madre, and then I was a dreamer, it's in my sangre. At first I was a beaner, chinga tu madre, and then I was a dreamer, it's in my sangre. Late at night as I'm laying